Alright, champs, legends, kings of yourself, lords of your domain, captains of the helm. We've just put in this first webbing strap on the kayak, so I have a gander. I went with the bigger rivets. Once again, surface area, that little bugger there didn't go in the way so I'm doing what I can with what I have. You know, that's the motto here, Iron Weight Maritime. Down the track with the next application, there's a few things to consider. If you've watched my first video, this is the application of the idea in real time, and that's the best way to go, because when you do that, doesn't matter if you make a whoopsie, you know, oh, I can do that better. So don't beat yourself up like I used to do when you get things, let's say, not wrong, but when they don't work out the best. So the next application, we're going to get longer rivets, the same circumference, and what I'll be doing is picking up an aluminium can somewhere along the lines. There's always a fool out there that doesn't know what a rubbish bin looks like, and what I'll do is I'll cut out a square round the corners and I'll put that in between the rivets and the webbing, because already I can see what may occur here is that the edge of the rivet is eventually, over time, right, it's going to eat into that webbing, and this whole webbing will just pop off over that rivet. Okay. Now I could put tape there, but tape is going to be the same thing. There's going to be a flex in the tape, there'll be a soft. So my theory is I put a flat, let's say flat washer of aluminium from an aluminium can. That may help minimize. Over time it will probably occur, but I'll be able to inspect on the regular the wear and tear and just replace that aluminium, if that makes sense. So something to consider. But this is what's been happening. Screws are just popping out, but it's an old kayak, right? It's an old kayak. It's not meant to be getting pulled along at the force. It's getting pulled along behind a boat, and then this is what's also been occurring. It's just popping out. You can see here the wear and tear. Wind on the mic, I know. And then we lost this in some serious weather. So what will happen here, because I don't even use this cavity, right? So some ideas I've got is I'm just going to fill it up with empty drink bottles that I find to add to the buoyancy. I'll take this plastic ring off and I'm just going to replace that with a piece of ply, glued and painted. Done deal. Thanks for coming. Then this whole area will be sealed, so if I ever do capsize again, it's already happened, that this won't get full of water. And also what's been occurring is the chop off the boat or the water sometimes pulls this down and water's getting in here, which is then altering the way that kayak's traveling behind the boat. It just saves having to load the kayak up all the fruitcake and time up onto the boat. Once I get that sealed and that's full of bottles, that'll make a big difference. That'll make a big difference. But you can see what's happened. And these screws, if I'll give you a close look at them, the gauge on them, to me that I think that should be finer. Like on metal, it should be finer, because the finer that thread is, the more bite it actually has in the plastic. That's my take. And when they've done this in the shop, I think they've pre-drilled, maybe. But not what I was expecting at all, actually. I thought they would have a finer thread on them. Because like I'm saying, the finer the thread is, the more bite that it actually has. Yeah. So, and I say that because I use that exact principle to glue and screw, metal screw, so a flat, they weren't even self-tapping, they were flat, very fine thread metal screws. I screwed a roof rack to a car, and that carried a boat on it, that carried pallets on it, that travelled up the highway doing 100 kilometers an hour. That thing went real well, and it was just good old silicon and those metal screws through a roof, and the metal on a roof isn't that thick, so that just gives you an idea. So we've gone with the rivets. We'll duplicate that on the other end. Yeah, so that should be good for now. So yeah, the deal is you get to see my idea in real life application, and through that I'm able to make the adjustments and the improvements on the next one I do. Be good, be great, be brilliant, be the best that you can. Do what you can with what you have. There's an example. Just do what you can with what you have. Make it a habit. This is my application of the practice, of the thought, is making it a habit just to put my idea into play so I can see it, so it's outside of my mind. It's from the mind to the paper, then from the paper to its physical representation, if that makes sense, in its physical manifest. Right? So that's the idea. The idea went on the paper, and then from the paper I applied it into its physical representation, its physical manifest. Okay. And I'm repeating myself, and I'm doing it on purpose, so it can sink in for you that it's okay if you don't get it the best way the first time. That's the learning process. That's the, I see what's going on here. If I did this and this and this, and yeah, it can get annoying because you spend all day trying to figure something out and it didn't work out the way you wanted to. All right, clock off, go have a cup of tea, coffee, sit down, do another drawing, and then when you're in the readiness, the willingness to apply the new idea, go apply your new idea. Yeah, it's taken me so long to be okay with not getting things top notch the first time round. I mean, and if you do, you beauty. Have a little celebrate, do a little dance. Why not? So just, it's amazing how something simple like that can be so impactful on a philosophical level in regards to your own self, your own personal development and your own personal evolution. And that's what it's all about here on Wake Maritime, about restoring the vessel and restoring the man, restoring the self, learning to rebuild, to remodel, to recreate through mistakes. And mistake is just, it's a missed take. It doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean I got it wrong. All right. I missed the mark. And the only way you can miss the mark is to aim at something and throw something at what you're aiming at. Through that process, I realized that that's where I build the skill set. That's where I build the knowledge. That's where I build the understanding. and the embedding of the habit practice, because habits practice are practice habits, and sometimes the habits, as I can speak from personal experience, the habits that have been non-beneficial, but they were habits I practice, and practice habits are habits practice, right? A vicious cycle, a loop, because a habit is a loop action. These things take time. So these little videos can give you an insight, and they can give you a heads up if you're a younger fellow watching this, or a younger person watching this. Like, keep doing what you're doing. That feeds the joy in your heart, that puts a smile in your heart. Everyone else may not understand why you're doing what you're doing, as long as you do, and as long as your intentions are congruent and aligned with that. It's like, feed the joy in the soul. Do what you can with what you have to lead you to the places and into the experiences that you'd rather be having, or rather be in. Until then, leave a like, leave a comment. If you're willing, leave a subscribe. Regardless of that, I will keep going on and doing this thing. It's just a good idea to know, anyone who watches these videos, are you getting value out of it? See you.